Alright, we have a Uber Exarch. We are Reflect Immune, just more life, cannot be stunned, and extra is chaos. But we are CI, so that doesn't do anything. We'll pop my flash for extra damage. Dodge this skill. Alright. Meteor time. Totem on one side to block meteors. And leech on the Minotaur and tank everything else. Can't full attack. Can't do like permanent attack because we'll just kill it too fast. So I'm sort of tapping a little bit very slowly. We have really high evasion, so it's probably not gonna hit us, or at most it'll hit us once. So we don't have to worry about getting like double hit by that. Another meteor phase. So totem on one side to block that side. We hit this every so often to get overleech. Pop the worm flask for some extra life gain on, or ES gain on kill, and also more leech, right? Explosion. One more phase. We'll put the totem on the left side now. Tank it. Overleech should keep us healthy. And if we get hit by a lot of meteors in a row, we can just use the Writhing Flask for the worms for insta heal right there on kill. I think we can, yep, calling. And of course nothing. Last phase over here. We have pretty good damage, but not quite enough to blow him up before he does a move. We can tank all the moves, so meteor. 6k HP left. Let's worm flask to heal up here. So we have that flask. And let's see if we can pump him right here. So I'll show you guys the mapping experience with the build. It's not the best clear speed build because like we're using molten strike and you know it just doesn't have the AoE, right? But obviously we have pretty good single target. So we mostly just spam whirling blades to move everywhere. These guys. Basically nothing's gonna kill you in maps other than detonate dead, maybe. Everything else is like, we'll just overleech. Won't take any damage at all.
I'll tell you all I know.
So let's get rid of her. But yeah, this is a typical experience in the map. You just whirling blades everywhere. Don't really walk at all. Flame dashed over obstacles. And you see a map boss or something has a lot of life, you put down totem and then you curse. Just 2 buttons, the rest are just auto attack or molten strike.
I'm afraid the only option here for me.
What a way. If you think that. I really do hate the idea.
What's wrong?
Even an ignoramus sharp. Consider it done.
But yeah, it's not the best clear as you can see. We're pretty fast because we can whirling blades everywhere. Just check this really quick for T4 seeds. You get the Rot Gut, which gives us Onslaught because we turn the frenzies we get from the mark into Onslaught, and then it also gives us Quicksilver movement speed. So it's okay. It's just okay at clearing. Not the best map clear for sure, but single target's really good and extremely tanky. Okay, the map boss over here. Put down totem, curse him. Hexproof. let's go over the character really quickly. So we are a level 98 Trickster, Peepo Sunglasses. This build is built around the hands of Wisdom and Action Claws. They give you flat lightning damage per intelligence. I haven't built around these claws before, so I just wanted to make a build around them, and Trickster's really strong with the ES overleech, and since we're stacking so much int, we get obviously a lot of ES, as you can see, 15,000. So we are going to go over the stats really quickly. As far as defenses, we just have standard 75 all res. We are CI, so we don't have to worry about chaos res. We have 83,000 evasion, just without any flash or anything. That means we just avoid most hits already. And then we have ghost stances on top. So with ghost stances, we almost get like around 2,500 for the first 3 hits we take. So that helps a lot with the sustain. And the overleech we get as Trickster for ES really gives us very high sustain. And I'm also using the claw insta leech. We are using dual wield claws, so we're actually getting 20% insta leech. So like if we take any damage, if it gets past the overleech, we heal up really fast if we're attacking anything basically. Alright. So as far as the gear goes, you can see we're dual wielding the claws, the hand of wisdom. It's really difficult to get a good tree. I actually bought these ones because I couldn't make my own. It's just really hard to combine them because A, the claw is not very common. There's not that many for sale to begin with. And then every time you want to recombine a unique that can't be chanced, which these claws can't be chanced, every time we want to recombine, it costs like almost a div basically because you need the high tier forge to even combine it. So a quick tip as far as the crucible trees goes, if you use the lower tier version before you use the Esh blessing, the tree will be transferred over. You will roll the percent attributes, intelligence and dex. They can roll into anything, but the tree will be saved when you upgrade the claw. So if you find a really good tree on the lower tier version, you can just buy that and then upgrade the claw with the blessing. So as far as the tree goes, we have Magebane here, which saves us point. And we have just percent dex and percent int and some dex. This makes dexterity give us nothing else, but that's fine. We have a mastery that makes int equals evasion, so that portion of dex doesn't do anything. It just gives us a little accuracy. And we also have accuracy equals my intelligence, which we have 2,300 of, so that gives us a lot of accuracy for the build. The other claw is just 4% attributes. Explicit 15%. This actually increases the flat lightning if you hit with this claw. 1 to 11 instead of 1 to 10. And some pen here. So my helmet is just a molten strike enchant for 2 additional proges. We have conductivity curse. Fizz taken as chaos. We are CI, so that's actually 8%, just less fizz. It's just int and ES and whatever we could roll. Just very high int and ES space. So for the chest, we are using the 1% less damage taken per 190 int. I think it's around 12% total less damage. That's really strong for the build as far as defenses. And aura effect is the other implicit. We fractured the flat ES, and then I think I just spammed the essences until we got something good. Yeah, I just spammed into essences until we got something good, and then crafted percent attributes. The amulet, we bought a percent int amulet, and then I just rolled it here also same way. Just spam essences until you get some good suffixes. We got really lucky and hit some ES prefixes, and yeah, that's it. The anoint is very important. Vengeance Cascade. This build gets double damage, basically. A little bit more than double damage. I think we get around 60% damage from the Vengeance Cascade. So that's molten strike is like completely built around that. For my rings, we have just percent intelligence rings with I just spammed it once again. Everything's just spammed with essences, and then you get good suffixes, and then this one, the prefixes are actually pretty bad. They actually don't do anything, actually, except for the craft. But it's good enough, and I didn't feel like recrafting this. This one, same way, we crafted that. We got Dex. Dex is pretty good still, because as you can see, the claw gives us 1% attack speed per 25 Dex, so getting flat Dex is pretty strong for the build too. And then ES and elemental damage with attacks. So for the gloves, we are using the implicit 4% damage per 100 int. Obviously, that's a lot with 2300 int. That's what, 92% damage, really high. We have Rage right here. I was testing Rage. I actually think Intimidate's probably better. If you get the Intimidate on hit, even the low level one, you attacks with so many projectiles, so you're definitely gonna proc Intimidate. As far as the mods, it's just Int, Dex, and whatever you can get. I bought a fractured base with flat ES. So for the belt, we are just getting, once again, percent int. We're stacking that int up. I just used int essences here, once again, get the suffixes good, and then I did suffixes cannot change attack reforge, and I hit T1, and then we just crafted more ES on the prefixes. The boots, same thing. We bought a fractured percent ES. I fixed up the suffixes, and then I think I rerolled defenses until we got, something decent. Got pretty lucky with a T1. Ideally, that mana is not there, and we could craft on move speed, but it's just not worth it, because most of the time, you can see the build, we just move with whirling blades. We don't walk that much, so it's not that bad not having move speed. We also have Scorching Ground, since we are melee. It's pretty easy to keep Scorching Ground up on the bosses. And we have increased stun threshold, but honestly, all those mods are not good. There's not really anyone that's really good, so that's what we used. So my flask, we're using Dying Sun. That's a lot of damage. It gives us +2 proj. The Rot Gut, we are converting my Frenzy charges, which we get from Mark. Marked enemies have, I think, 10% with the mastery. Frenzy charge on hit, and with this many projectiles, we always have full 5 frenzies, so that gives us onslaught and movement speed. The Worm Flask is mostly for bossing, just between phases for uber bosses in particular. There's a downtime, you want to keep up the leech, because there's no other way for this build to regen HP, or ES in this case. So we have the Worm Flask just in case between phases, and Polymath also makes it 2 worms. Each one we kill, we get 12% insta ES refill. Bow of Faith, just for more damage. And finally, we are using the Elixir Unbroken Circle. This one's actually pretty useful as Trickster, because Trickster has increased charges. You can actually keep pretty high uptime on your endurance charges, because it gives you 1 charge for every second it's on. And then after it's off, you will just have 30 seconds of endurance charges because of the Trickster node. So we can go over the gems now for the build. In my gloves, we're using Inspiration Support, Mark on Hit, and Sniper's Mark. We are using Inspiration to lower the mana cost a little bit, but honestly, that's basically a free slot. You don't really have anything good to put here, so I just put this to reduce the Mark on Hit cost a little bit. For the helmet, we are using Anomalous Blood and Sand. The alt quality gives us proj speed and proj damage and blood stance. Actually, yeah, just attack damage and blood stance. Sand stance would be proj speed. But yeah, just a little bit more damage. We are in blood stance always. Precision over here. And clarity. These are both for my Watcher's Eye. Otherwise, these are free gem slots. We have Flame Dash as our movement skill over obstacles. So for my other claw, we have Phantasmal Protector. Gives us more attack speed. Power, so it's a little bit better stats. I think it's 1% more attack speed and just a little bit more HP for the totem, and then Culling Strike. In our main link, we have Awakened Elemental Attacks. That gives us level 5. At level 5, it gives us Reflect Immunity. We are using Energy Shield Leech. We are always leeching because we're Trickster and we have Overleech. So we actually get both those stats. It's actually a 40% more damage gem, usually. It's not always on, but almost always if you're attacking anything, you're at full ES. So that's very strong. Molten Strike, 2120. Awakened Multi-Strike. Awakened GMP from projectiles, and a Lightning Pen. This is the last link. This also gives us Lightning Exposure. So for our gloves, I am using Grace as an aura. Purity Elements to get us immunity to elemental ailments. Discipline for more ES, and finally we are using Enlighten for this. And in my boots we have Conductivity with Whirling Blades for our main movement skill, and Anomalous Steel Skin with Anomalous Cast 1 damage taken as our guard skill. Okay, let's go over the tree for my build. As a Trickster, my first ascendancy was Polymath for damage and recovery. Secondly, I went for Swift Killer for Frenzy Charge duration and just more damage. This is pretty strong because we get 30-second frenzies. Since all my charges are 30 seconds, we can use the Elixir of Unbroken Circle. This will give us 30-second endurance charges, which we have pretty high uptime on. I use the Enkindling Orb so that we have 2 charges of this. So at minimum, we have 1 minute of endurance charges always on. So it's pretty good and get pretty high uptime even for boss fights since you can press it twice. And then my third ascendancy was Escape Artist just for tank. And Soul Drinker was my last ascendancy. This gives us Overleech, which is one of the strongest recovery methods, and we have a lot of leech with between Ghost Reaver and then the Master that gives us more max ES leech. We leech around like 5,000 a second since we have such a high ES base pool, so it keeps us pretty tanky against hits. Alright, the tree is very stretched out. You'll see this yellow line. This yellow line is because we are using split personalities. They give you more stats the farther away you are from the start, so this is why my tree is very stretched. So we're going here through all the stats here. Grab the jewel here. Grabbing the int percent nodes, very strong and important for int stackers. The mastery for the curse was less curse damage from crits. This is our only curse or critical mitigation, so we only take 60%. Because whenever we fight a boss, they're always cursed with a mark, so just 40% less in case they crit us. We got Whispers of Doom, the Aura Cluster here. The mastery for ES mastery here is 10% less when we have full ES, 10% less damage from Fizz, which is pretty high. Like, we have pretty high uptime on this with the Overleech, and like I said, we have really high Overleech, so that's almost always on, as long as you're hitting something. Ghost Reaver for more leech, Arcane Blows for Lightning Pen, Ghost Dance, we have a lot of evasion over here, 83,000, so that's really strong recovery. We are using evasion gets the stat bonus from intelligence instead of dex because we are stacking way more int than dex. You can see right here 2300 versus about 1000 for dex, so that gives us a lot of evasion. Next we go mana efficiency mastery, instant leech for the claws. So basically, I think this works basically like ES gain on hit, like from the Watcher's Eye. You can think of it like that. So we are using 2 claws, so about 20% of my leech is instant right there. Really high sustain because of that. If we hit anything, we basically heal to max. And then on top of healing to max, we have the Overleech from the Trickster Ascendancy. So we have really strong recovery and really tanky because of that. So degens don't really hurt, we just outleech it basically, right? We have a Mark Mastery here. This is how I generate my frenzies. We have 11 projectiles currently. And then we have 11 projectiles that Vengeance Cascade return. So the initial 11 projectiles, not everyone will hit. Maybe we get 6 or 7 depending on the enemy hitbox and the targeting, how far you are. But if you get 6 to 7, that's good enough. And then you get guaranteed 11 on the return. So that's like, Vengeance Cascade is really important for damage and gives you a lot of that instant leech basically. Because we have about like 15 plus projectiles every single attack. Plus the melee hit itself, which is 1 hit, right? We grabbed the leech node here. This is how I get mana leech. And we are also getting the mastery for more ES max leech rate, right? So more travel nodes. Grab the aura node for charisma. More travel nodes. We would anoint Magebane, but I have it from my crucible tree on the claw. Otherwise you would click this and basically we have 100% suppression because we have so much dex, right? We're going through here. I grabbed the attack mastery here for additional strike nearby, just for clear. For bossing it doesn't do anything, but just for clear it makes it a lot easier to clear. We grabbed this accuracy node. Because my accuracy isn't that high, you would have to use a high level precision, but if you get the mastery right here, accuracy equals your int. We have obviously 2300 int, that's just a lot of flat accuracy, so makes it really easy to cap your hit rate. We went for a precise technique because I am not doing critical strikes, so that's just like around 20% damage. Right now I am in a bossing tree, but ideally you can see I have 1 extra node here. This would go right here for phasing for clear. So we had phase 10% chance to get phasing on kill. That's what I would usually do for my mapping setup, but when we're bossing we don't need phasing obviously. 3% additional suppression, so that's pretty strong. And then yeah, we are grabbing point blank too for the projectiles. Grab the attributes, and right here we have a stat stacking cluster. This one is, I actually bought this one. We tried to make my own, didn't quite make anything, so we just bought this one. I think it was fairly cheap. It was like 2 or 3 divs. But this one's just 35% effect, 8 int, and 9 ES flat. And the fire roll is actually a brick. We fractured it, tried to get the 35% or the flat int to be fractured, but obviously we didn't hit. So this one's good enough. So you can see each node gives us 16% damage, 12 ES, and 10 int. And then you can see I slot in 2 split personalities for my stretched tree. This one gives 55 int, 55 ES, and then this one back gives 60, 60 each.